Hey everybody, it's Alexis again. Um, I wasn't really sure if I was going to do this third video or not. I was kind of debating it because, three videos in a row, but I did only get three submissions for my anonymous sharing. So I figured I've already done two of them, so I might as well go ahead and do the third. So here we are. And if anyone out there is wanting to anonymously share, I promise that I do not share your name. I do not share any information about you. I do send a guideline of kind of like the things that will help basically give you kind of like a timeline to help, set out your story and give me kind of the basic information that I need. Um, so that way everyone kind of has like an understanding of what happened, and I share it on here for other survivors to hopefully see and hear and help them maybe talk about their abuse with somebody that they trust, or hopefully start the healing process and go to therapy and heal that. So this is definitely a topic that does not get discussed enough, and I just this is something that we need to normalize talking about, especially for the sake of our children, because it's unfortunate, but it happens so often starting in your childhood. And I just feel like if this was discussed more, then maybe predators would start feeling a little uncomfortable. And that is why I want to start doing this. I want people to start feeling comfortable and start feeling safe to talk about their stories and their experience and how they're feeling, because there's just too many out there that can't get through life and feel like something is wrong with them and that they did something wrong and that still blame themselves. And I want anyone out there to know that it is not your fault. And I hope anybody who watches my videos sees that this is a safe space and that there will be no judgment cast towards you. Um, that is exactly what I want to do. I want to advocate for others. I want to be your voice if you are not there yet. I want to help anyone that I can. So please know that my messages are always open to anyone who just needs someone to listen. Um, so anyways, so hopefully this is not the last one. I do want to say though that I don't really have anything on the calendar like set in stone right now. So hopefully I can either get a FaceTime interview set up with somebody, or we can hopefully get somebody on the podcast. I know I had a couple of ladies who were wanting to share their story with you guys. So hopefully we can get something set up soon. But I don't know. Just to the ladies who were wanting to come on, just let me know what your schedule is looking like, and hopefully we can get something set up. I know everybody has a busy life, and there's so much going on right now, so I completely understand and don't want anyone to feel like they're rushed into doing this. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start reading this one. um, this is not necessarily a um, it's not necessarily an anonymous story. They did say that I could share their name, so here we go. All right. My name is Asher. And I'm a 25-year-old transgender man. Being autistic, I was a really socially awkward kid. I didn't really understand dating, and I remember when I was in elementary school, everyone else being so excited about their little boyfriends and girlfriends. But I just wasn't into that sort of thing. Then came middle school, and I felt an immense amount of pressure to be conventionally pretty to find a boy that liked me. I completely understand that. My abuse did start pretty early, so that comes, of course, with already trying to get, male attention, and you've almost already kind of, lost that innocence. So it's like, let's see what else we can get into kind of thing. So I was also very like, how can I make myself pretty, and how can I, make other guys find me attractive and want to be with me, and, want to be with me sexually, which was crazy because I was very young and just in middle school. So I completely understand. Completely understand. All right, where was I at? All right. Then came middle school, and I felt an immense amount of pressure to be conventionally pretty, to find a boy that liked me. This is also around the time my gender dysphoria kicked in. I saw myself as ugly and undesirable because of my dysphoria. So when a guy a grade above me showed interest in me, I was over the moon. Them upperclassmen, I swear to God, every time. They know. All right, where was I at? Dang it. I always get lost and I don't mean to. Um, all right. This is also around the time my gender dysphoria kicked in. I saw myself as ugly and undesirable because of my dysphoria. So when a guy a grade above me showed interest in me, I was over the moon. I felt like I finally had proof that I was attractive. Because of my autism, I didn't see the warning signs. When I first met him, I was in sixth grade, so I was probably around 12, and he was probably around 13, 14 at the time. He was the type of guy all the girls wanted: tall, cute, black swooshy emo hair. Yep, the whole 9 yards. So when he showed interest in me, a then girl who was socially awkward, dressed like a boy, and had an obsession with Sonic the Hedgehog, I was beyond stoked. He preyed on that crippling self hatred, on the way I would talk down about myself because he knew that I thought I couldn't do any better. I also went through this, and I hate to say it wasn't until um it wasn't until my divorce that I really started to see how much I hated myself, and how little I thought of myself. So I completely understand that, and was also in relationships where it felt like they did kind of prey on that self hatred and the fact that I thought so little of myself that no matter what they did, I was going to stick around because I thought, well, why would I, why would I, why would I leave? Because this is comfortable. This is what I'm used to. Like all of my life. And yeah, it took a very long time for me to see past that and see that I was worth so much more and that I was a good human being and that I didn't deserve anything that I went through. Um, and it took a very long time to see that. So yeah, I completely understand. All right, anyways, to find where I was at again. He preyed on that crippling self hatred, on the way I would talk down about myself because he knew that I thought I couldn't do any better. The abuse started small, him asking for provocative pictures, then saying it was a joke when I'd get upset, suggesting I wear more revealing clothing, etc. I was, yeah, I can relate. Um, I was unfortunately the one though that would just willingly send. And now that I look back on that, I see how much that damaged me and probably also, no, not probably, definitely made me more susceptible to getting, taken advantage of. Um, but it's like, of course, the validation that comes with, exposing yourself in that manner in a sense. And I mean, like I've said before, it was just sex was so normalized in my brain in a way, like it just felt like that was the only way to keep somebody in your life. That was the only way to have love and attention. And I was completely wrong, completely wrong. Um, I almost feel like we all kind of go through this in a sense, because it just feels so normalized. Um, yeah, let me find where I was at again. I changed everything for him. I learned to live in more girly clothes, even if I did hate them, because the girls he cheated on me with would wear things like that. Okay, first I want to say I'm so sorry that he was coercing you into sending you pictures of yourself when you didn't want to. Um, and from what I'm saying, you made it obvious that you didn't want to do that stuff. And then making you seem like the crazy one when he says he's just joking. Ill. um Also, I'm so sorry that he was just kind of dragging you along while he was also messing around with other women, or not women but girls at that time. um I am so sorry. He sounds terrible. He sounds terrible. um I think in total there were about seven I think in total there were about seven of us that he would string along. He was stringing. Oh, he was stringing. Um, Seven. Boy, you are like 13, 14 years old. What do you need with seven girlfriends? How do you even have the time? When are you doing your homework? What the hell? Where are your parents at? Jesus. Seven. I could barely keep up with one. Like, how were I don't see how these boys were having like whole 7, 12, 13, 14 girlfriends. I mean, come on. All right. Here, there we are. I changed my hair, started wearing makeup, everything, just to be his priority. That's how they get you. Like, why? I always like think back to my experiences and I'm like, why? Why did I allow myself to keep going through that? Like, just why? Just why? Like, you almost wouldn't go back in the past and just smack yourself. It's crazy. Um, I thought that if I gave him what he wanted, he'd love me as much as I loved him. About a year into our relationship, yeah, if you would even call it that, sometimes I was his girlfriend, sometimes I wasn't. Deserve better, deserve better. He finally took me on a date with my best friend at the time and her boyfriend. We went to the mall and went to a video game store, the kind that had couches and consoles in the back that you could play hourly to use. I remember those days. And I remember him insisting I sit in his lap. I was so uncomfortable, but I didn't want to upset him, so I did. Then a few minutes later, he asked to kiss me. I said no, and he pressured me into it for 30 minutes until I finally said yes. How long does it take a man to not get the hint? Apparently 30 minutes. Also, what about his best friend that's sitting over here? I would have been like completely uncomfortable. I would have been like, bro, clearly she doesn't want to. Why are you still like pushing the subject? Um, but I understand anxiety, you know, at that age and being scared to stick up for your friends, but like, come on. That's sad. That's sad. I'm so sorry. I was so uncomfortable, but I didn't want to upset him, so I did. Then a few minutes later, he asked to kiss me. I said no, and he pressured me into it for 30 minutes until I finally said yes. That was my first kiss. Our second date, another year or so later, was when he finally got his hands on me. When I tell you I loved this boy with everything in me, I loved him. I gave in to his demands to send pictures I wasn't comfortable sending. Apologized when he said other girls were prettier than I was. Accepted the fact that he was unfaithful and just left him to do what he wanted to do. It's a really terrible feeling, and I completely understand. And I'm so sorry that you had to experience that. And I'm so sorry that he was just didn't seem to care about actual consent. Um, and I'm so sorry. Whew. Our second date, oh, where was I at? Sorry. After all, he'd look back at the one who stuck around and finally pick me, right? Our second date was at a park in town, and it was just us. We walked and talked together, and I was genuinely having a good time. He even dared to hold my hand, something he normally refused to do in public. I finally felt like a real girlfriend. After a while, he decided he wanted to go into the woods and hang out by a creek, and I remember thinking how cute and romantic of a spot it was. He kissed me again, and I was okay with it. But when he started touching me was when I knew something was wrong. I was a pretty innocent kid. I didn't do it. I'm sorry. Whew. I didn't really delve too much into sexual things, but after that second date, all of that innocence was lost. So it's sounding like basically the holding hands and the trying to be romantic and doing the things he doesn't normally do was to basically butter you up to get you where he wanted you. So you are completely right. He was preying on you essentially, which is sad. A 13, 14-year-old boy preying on a 12-year-old, um, which, you said a year or so later. So it was probably, y'all were a little bit older than that. But that's still really sad. Um, and I mean, mm, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. And that was your first, like, experience. Um, that's terrible. He touched me, groped me, and just kept telling me, "You're my girlfriend, right? Then you'll do this for me," when I asked him to stop. I remember at one point, I just laid on the ground under him, on the cold, wet leaves, and just checked out completely, letting him do whatever he wanted. That's exactly how it felt for me, also. It's like, it's not like a literal sense of like you go out of your body, but it's like you just go completely desensitize yourself. It's like you shut off all of your senses, you shut off your brain, and you're just gone. It's not like a hovering over them type of situation. It's more of like you just go limp. Um, and I'm so sorry because I know how that feels, and it's exhausting. Um, and I've noticed that I disassociate a lot. Um, and of course, when the abuse was happening, I would disassociate. I would leave, check out. And it makes being an adult really hard because the moment things start feeling stressful or overwhelming or anything like that, I check out. I basically go nonverbal. I stop talking. I'm not there. And um it's something I've been trying to work on, and it's just I get it. And I'm so sorry. After that, he let me up. I pulled my shirt and bra down, and not long after that, his dad came to pick him up. He sent me a text later saying that his dad told him that his ex girlfriend was prettier than me. It's sounding like he was getting this from dad. That is the vibes that dad is giving. Is that is exactly where he's picking up his behaviors is from his father. Um Disgusting. You were literally a child, and he said that about a child. Just oh my god. Do better. Do better. Oh my god. Lord. Okay, I'm so sorry. Where was I at? I never told anyone because I took him at his word and believed when he said that this was something a girlfriend should do. I didn't realize it was sexual abuse until I was well into my 20s. 2 years after that. Yeah, I stayed with him until my freshman year in high school. Big yikes. Yeah, yeah. Big yikes. Big yikes. Big yikes. Um, no judgment, but big yikes. I finally left him, but the scars he left followed me into my next relationship too. Another year-long relationship that started my sophomore year, where I didn't have a voice, where I hated myself, and another, sorry, another year-long relationship that I started my sophomore year, where I didn't have a voice, where I hated myself and my body so much it was unbearable. Another year of being told, just go along with it, or it's not a big deal, or being asked, so what? Do you not love me? Despite not wanting to be touched, not wanting to touch him in return. Yeah, yeah. It wasn't until my junior year that I found someone who understood me, who respected my boundaries, and listened when I said no or told him I wasn't ready for something. I ended up marrying that one, and next year will be 10 years that we've been together. I love that so much. I love that so much. Your junior year. I love that. It was meant. It was meant to happen. I love that. I didn't like my body before the abuse because of my gender dysphoria, but the repeated sexual abuse I endured for almost, I messed up, hold up. But the repeated sexual abuse I endured for most of my adolescent years, from 12 to 16, made me despise the vessel that my soul was attached to. I tried being more girly to appease my abusers, but not too girly. We couldn't have other men looking at me perversely. It was a thin line to tread, and one that I walked for too many years. I'll never forgive them for taking what should have been the best years of my life, but I try and remember the fond times I had in between the misery. The friends who comforted me, the laughs we shared, I hang on to those memories tighter because of the abuse I endured. To this day, I still struggle with objectifying myself or thinking that my husband just sees me as a piece of meat, despite knowing that isn't true. I also struggle with that, so I understand, and I feel like that's almost something that we're always going to struggle with because we went so long through our lives basically being told that we were, um and just being objectified for so long that it is just normalized to us. And I just love so much that you have someone in your life that is willing to work with you and be understanding and understand that when you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood. And that, you know, that although the abuse happened so long ago, we still struggle with it. Um, and that's not their fault, it's not our fault, but it is something that we do deal with. And If you are in a relationship with someone who has been abused, please be understanding. Um, if you are just like a pure sex addict and that's all you think about and all you want all the time, someone who's been abused in their past is not someone that you should be with. Um, I find that I do have my hypersexual moments, and then I have my moments where I'm just completely disgusted by sex and like the thought of it. And um, I mean, it's a hit or miss, really. I never know when it's going to come and go. And um, I'm glad that I also have a partner in my life who is very understanding of that. And I just, I'm so glad that I finally have someone who is understanding and who loves me for me and understands that like not every day is going to be like this great amazing day and that we're all going to be happy, and I'm comfortable with being me around him, and that's something I've not been able to say often. So I'm really glad that you also found that person. All right, where was I at? To this day, I still struggle with objectifying myself or thinking that my husband just sees me as a piece of meat, despite knowing that isn't true. I developed anxiety and depression because of my abusers. I remember being 14 and going to lay in the middle of the road, hoping a car would drive by and run me over so I didn't have to deal with life anymore. The car never came, so I took it as a sign to get up and keep going. I still see my first boyfriend because I'm friends with his wife on Facebook, and I can only hope that he treats her like a human, unlike he treated me and so many others before her. I also hope so. Um, Whew, that's rough. Mm. And also, I'm so sorry that like it came to a point to where you felt like your life should just end. Um, I've also had my moments, and I completely get it. And I'm so glad that you're still here and that you are thriving in your life and doing good. Okay. My second abuser, I have no contact with, and honestly, I like it that way. His mother commented some really hurtful things when I came out as transgender online, so I completely cut every memory of him out of my life. I'm in therapy now, not just for abuse from those two relationships, but for a multitude of other unrelated things. But they come up every now and then. They were such a large part of my life, it's impossible to tell my story without including them in it. I kept myself closeted for so long because of them, because I didn't think I could find anyone else who would love me. I'm incredibly lucky to have found my husband, someone who stands beside me proudly, someone who supported me through every step of my transition, someone who respects me and my boundaries and knows that no means no. I'm much happier now than I was, and I'm grateful every day to the girl that I once was. She got me through a lot and got me to a place where I can finally be comfortable in my own body. I've watched the episodes you've posted on YouTube so far, and I think that what you're doing is so special. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Like, I can't even describe how much that means to me. Also, I love so much um, that you pay tribute to the person that you once were. Um, I feel like even if we may have done wrong in our past or we wish we would have done things differently, it's still really important to love the person that you were, and be kind to that child that you were, and have understanding that you were just doing the best with what you had. Um, I'm so incredibly sorry for the experience that you had, in your dating life in school. I know a lot of us have like some really terrible dating experiences in school, because I know I experienced a lot of like peer pressure and a bunch of different nasty stuff that should not have been happening in school, but was. And, of course, I was going through what I was going through already. So it was already normalized to me. So I was just like, hey, no, that wasn't okay. And yeah, I really resonate with your story, and I'm so glad that you shared with me, and just thank you so much. You're such an inspiration, and I'm so glad that you found someone who accepts you and loves you for who you are. That's truly very important. Um, and I'm glad that you're doing good and you're on your healing journey, and you're doing good. I love that for you. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so glad that I get to do this, and that I get to share your story with others as well. And hopefully, I get to meet you one day. That would be awesome. But yes, thank you so much for this. And thank you guys for supporting me and watching my videos and keeping an eye on my socials for when I post a video. I really do appreciate it. It's really important to spread this awareness, guys. So if you can, please share my videos, tell your friends, and talk about it. It's time we start talking about it. So thank you guys, and I hope to be posting another one of these soon. Bye.